Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it has been a while since I did one of these streams, but I am very excited about it. Somebody popped onto one of our Tartaria videos, probably from Twitter, because one of my favorite things to do is share those bad boys every chance I get from the Lore Lodge account, and just see a Tartaria person. I'm like, here's the video where I destroy your entire theory from the ground up. Just take a sledgehammer to it and knock it down. But every once in a while, they'll be like, oh, well, you didn't debunk this guy because you couldn't. And I don't think they realize that that's definitely not the reason. But I thought it would be fun. It's been a little bit of time since we did one of these. And this is the guy, Archaix, and I've heard of him a few times. Um, he's not as big as Mind Unveiled, the guy that we originally hit, but he's decently large. I'm gonna be honest, part of the reason that I never paid him much mind is because it doesn't look professional. And it's not that I don't watch a YouTube channel if it doesn't look professional, because that would be ridiculous. It's YouTube. The only way you get professional is by starting off unprofessional. The reason I didn't look at it is because I didn't want to be dealing with somebody who I felt like, I don't know. He struck me from looking at his page as more of a, oh, that's unfortunate, rather than a you grifting bastard kind of type. Like Mind Unveiled, I think, is a grifter. I genuinely believe that. In this case, I wasn't so sure, but I mean, I've seen a whole bunch of people telling me to take a look at this guy, so I guess that's what we're doing. Taking a quick stroll down the page. I mean, we got emerald tablets, we have hidden history, we have mud floods, we have Anunnaki. I mean, this is going to be some interesting stuff, but what really got me going was I saw the emerald tablets thing, because that's something that I've even encountered with other Freemasons, where I'm like, oh, wait, you believe that stuff? And they do sometimes. It's a little, and you don't know how to deal with that, because a lot of the times it's the older guys who have been around so long that they don't know why they shouldn't buy into that kind of thing, but it is what it is. Also, I did see somebody, I think Moistologist, was that you? Who was saying you got accepted to a lodge? Congratulations, that's awesome. Looking forward to hearing how you enjoy the experience of going through the rituals. But yeah, I wanted to get in here. I have a few different ones. We're gonna start off with the one that he has as his channel trailer, which I guess on his channel only plays when you first get there. Weird. But yeah, so this is the one. This is channel trailer. We're gonna start here. Stream's gonna run until 8-ish, and then I have to get back to researching for the Sebastian Rogers video that we're supposed to shoot tomorrow, that I'm definitely not finished with, and that will almost definitely be a 2-part video, where part 1 is the timeline of the disappearance and what happened, and then part 2, I apologize for Ella yelling in the background, and then part 2 is going to be going through the evidence on both sides, because as I've been looking through it, it's going to be a lot to look at. So this might also continue next week. Next week might also be a Sebastian Rogers video, and I'll tell you right now, a member of the Cyrus family reached out to me, which is why I'm looking into it. I had initially decided against it because I don't like covering ongoing cases. There's too much opportunity to mess things up. There's too much opportunity to cause harm. But from what I'm seeing in this, the investigation has stalled. His parents, his mom and his stepdad, have left the area, but I'm also seeing all of this stuff about how his biological father, the one who's actually looking for him in person, is maybe not such a great guy. That's the kind of thing that I want to dig into, so I'll give you the Cliff's Notes version next Friday, but then you're going to get a second video that's going to be a lot more in-depth regarding what's going on with the case, and if there's anything that I think could be going on with Sebastian, if he was abducted, if he ran off on his own. I'm gonna be honest, I do think him running off on his own is a possibility. The only things that seem off to me about it are the fact that he didn't take his shoes with him, and that he left his phone behind. Now, his phone could have been used to track him, which may be why that was left behind. What I can't wrap my head around is why he'd leave behind his shoes, So that's what I got to work through, but I'm going to need another week to do that. Really quickly to address some super chats. I prefer emerald gel caps. Okay. I can turn my audio up a little bit, but if I go too much, it'll start peaking. So that's probably, yeah, that right there is about as high as I can get it before it starts to peak. So I will do what I can. Okay, let's see. Yeah, also the audio with YouTube is super weird. You know, I don't know why our channels have so many issues compared to others. I think it might be that we use Streamlabs and I think others use OBS. It could be some native limiting settings we have. I don't know. But, like, if I look at it too closely, it starts picking up noise in the background, so I'm careful with it. Totally Not JMO said, the milk has commanded me, for I am its servant. It has told me to seek Blobfest and deliver the book Berserk. I shall do its bidding, beware. Yeah, guys, so we do have some concrete information on that. Blobfest, the only day with booths, is going to be Saturday. So if you want to come see us at Blobfest and, like, know where we're going to be, that will be Saturday. I'll put up a post in Discord and on the main page tomorrow to clarify this. But we are going to be at Blobfest. We are going to be out in front of Molly Maguire's. It is a bar. It is on the corner of Main and Bridge. It's actually one of the easiest spots to find. So that's where we're going to be. Come, say hi, drop us off a chocolate milk. Unfortunately, due to a miscommunication, we won't be getting the shirts in time. But if you ask, you will get access. You have the opportunity to purchase an Archaix plushie. It is a plushie of Archaix. I'm not kidding. It's a real thing that Kat is making. So that's going to be what we're doing out there. And if you stick around long enough, I'm going out for dinner with my family after the show or after the festival. But I'll probably be out hitting the bars that night. So if you want to come find me, I will probably be at Molly Maguire's, PJ Ryan's, or possibly Great American Pub or Bistro on Bridge. Bistro is not a place I'll choose to go, but I might be there. So those are the places you might find me. And I agree, Kellen, I do like strawberry milk quite a bit. But it is possibly thought his shoes would have had trackers in them. That's fair, but I don't know. That's the kind of thing I don't want to speculate about. But all right, without further ado, let's get into... I'm going to be honest, I've never watched this guy before, so this could go horribly. Oh boy. Let's turn him down a bit. I swear to God, if I get another copyright claim... Wait, I love this. His background doesn't fill the whole screen. But yeah, from what I understand, this is Archaix 2.0. I guess this is his relaunch of the channel. This is like a weird... This feels like if somebody had tried to make Game of Thrones in the early 80s.
The study of
Does that say Archaix com? Yeah, there's no dot. There's no dot. And what's with the Balrog in the background? What?
The study of history to...
Okay, so, alright. Okay, sure.
The study of history today is so strictly disciplined as to render it almost meaningless. It's like studying a
What does that mean?
clown while ignoring the circus. Such a rigid...
The 552-year Phoenix cycle between 1687 and 1135 BC? That's a very specific number of years and a very specific set of years. I'm not sure what the cycle would be here.
Compartmentalization of knowledge of today's science has abstracted the past into a series of indefinites.
Also, I just really quickly...
The study of history today is so strictly disciplined as to render it almost meaningless.
Like, I don't know if he understands how backwards what he just said is, because the study of history 300 years ago was so undisciplined as to be meaningless. History was just, you know, I read Herodotus and he said this, and I think this happened. That's not history. That's commentary on literature. History is an actual field of study with methodology. There's a manner in which it works, and it's only really been that way for about 200 years.
It's like studying a clown while ignoring the
Also, Pumpkin Bear, good luck with your recovery. I hope you're all right.
circus.
I'm also gonna turn this up to 1.25 because I don't know about you guys, but I cannot do most YouTubers on their native speed setting.
Such a rigid compartmentalization of knowledge of today's science has abstracted the past into a series of indefinites.
Like, that's better. I think I just speak at 1.25 times speed all the time.
The once unified histories of our world are now so tangled that seemingly disparate realities are no longer recognized as orders within the same series of events.
What is he talking about? All right, here we go. What do we got? 1656 years of the antediluvian world. Okay, Cursed Earth Chronology. This seems to be going with the... Maybe the... I mean, if we're looking at the timelines here, this seems like they're probably going with young Earth creationism, which is already a bad move because it's scientifically completely unsound. Okay, so these guys are world cataclysm and sun darkens, which he's alleging happened in 3895 BC? Yeah, 3895 BC. And then there was apparently a regional disaster. So this is supposed to be the fall of man. Vapor canopy. Okay. So we're going with the idea that there used to be a, I guess, consistent cloud cover or something, which doesn't work if you understand how the sun works. What do we get here? And we've got weird little 138 year and 414 year and 552 year cycles all lined up on top of each other. This is strange. Worldwide resets. Rome begins Anno Domini calendar. Rome didn't begin that. The Christians did. Okay. Worldwide resets. 2239. I'm assuming this is supposed to be the flood. 1687, I don't know. I'm curious where we're going to go with the 1687 one. 1135, I mean, that's way too late for the Bronze Age collapse. I mean, decades too late for the Bronze Age collapse. It seems like he was just trying to make a point with numbers here because, I mean, Bronze Age collapse is typically understood to be like 1206 through 1177. What do we have here? I don't know what this one's supposed to be. And then he says this is to cover up the Great Reset, but the problem is that all the Tartaria people say the Great Reset happened around right here. So this is weird. Okay, I'm not sure. What are these? Phoenix observed. All right, so I would be willing to bet that you could find a phoenix being observed somewhere almost every year in history. Vapor canopy begin. Dated to May? What? Accurately predicted? How? Okay, where are we going with this? New star appears. Couldn't be that nobody had just recorded it yet, right?
Disparate realities are no longer recognized as orders within the
I'll turn the video up then.
of events. The Big Bang, creationism, natural selection, evolution, either phyletic gradualism or punctuated equilibrium, two versions supporting a bogus theory, directed panspermia, quantum mechanics, superstring theory, so many nicely packaged theories with support.
He's just saying a whole bunch of things. Like, these words don't mean anything in the context he's using them.
Facts that morph into mere suppositions under scrutiny. All of them wrong.
The first dynasty of Egypt was Sumerian? That's a take. Considering that Egypt wasn't Semitic.
Victims of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle.
I mean, this guy is telling us that a bunch of Semitic people came over and settled in an area and then just randomly decided to speak an Afro-Asiatic language.
Murphy's Law, or the occasional maverick genius. We are condemned to exult in fame.
Good lord! Okay, yeah, we're definitely going with the very outdated biblical chronology here. I mean, Look, there was absolutely not a worldwide flood less than 6,000 years ago. That did not happen. We would know about it. Like, not just from writing, we'd also know about it from other sources like geology, archaeology, anthropology. There would be a whole bunch of reasons that you would know about this. Now, there are a couple. There's the flood that created the Black Sea, which I want to say was like 7,500 years ago. Or I might be mixing it up with 7,500 BC. And then there's 11,600 years ago with the Younger Dryas. Personally, I think either of these are options for the biblical flood. It's hard to say for sure. I think based on what we're told about the biblical flood, probably going to be looking at Meltwater Pulse 1b rather than the Black Sea. But that's all opinion. Black Sea flood definitely fits with the chronology a lot better. If you want to use the biblical chronology and assume that there's no symbolism in the numbers, then yeah. But I mean, you're going to find very few Christian theologians and scholars who still hold to a 6,000 year time frame.
Intelligence to construct beliefs from the wisps of phenomena, causes unknown.
Okay, buddy.
Scientists and religionists locked in combat with facts.
So this is the long debunked conflict thesis, which was a 19th century argument that religion and science, specifically Christianity and science, were locked in conflict and that they could never be reconciled. Whereas if you go just 100 years earlier, you have people saying things like, and I believe this was Thomas Paine, but I might be misattributing it. You have people saying things like, science is the understanding of God's creation. Like, the idea is, if science contradicts faith, we've misinterpreted the book. Which is the way I look at it. If the science firmly, provably contradicts something in the Bible, my first assumption is going to be that we've misinterpreted the Bible. Science might be wrong too, but with certain things like the time scale of the planet, it's non-negotiable that the Earth is more than 6,000 years old. That's not up for debate. We have relative dating methods that can tell us that one thing is older than the other, especially by a certain number of years. So the understanding change there needs to be, all right, the Earth wasn't created 6,000 years ago. What are Adam and Eve and what's the flood? What are we supposed to make of those? Are Adam and Eve the first people? Are Adam and Eve the first sapient people? Are Adam and Eve the first biologically modern humans? Or were Adam and Eve created in a separate dimension and then let out into the world? There's all sorts of different ways to interpret, but one thing you definitely can't get from the Bible, without just totally contradicting fact, is that it's 6,000 years. That's just wrong.
Amorphous as fictions, both victims of a programming designed to delude. The astronomer envisions galaxies beyond sight as the faithful hope in an even more distant heaven. Both are in error. The truth lies in none of these. Prisoners of a nightmare in disguise, the truth is astonishing. I present to you a disturbing idea, a new theory that does not practice exclusions in its effort to be...
Why can't he... Bro, I'm struggling so much. Like, how am I supposed to take you seriously when, first of all, it's Fenrir, and you didn't even bother to tell... Like, here's what's got me confused. How did you end up with this line here? Did he make this in PowerPoint? I think he made this in PowerPoint. And 2040, what?
Persuasive, a sort of unified field theory of calendrics. Uncomfortable information, but not overwhelming, not without its...
Also, like, the Anunnaki thing has been debunked since basically the moment it hit the mainstream. That's the thing that drives me insane. Michael Heiser has had a website on it for, like, I mean, he's dead now, but he's had a website on it for, like, 25 years. Just about why it's wrong. Because you know what? Zecharia Sitchin didn't actually have any training. He taught himself a dead language. Do you know how hard it is to adequately teach yourself a dead language? Almost nobody can do it. And Zecharia Sitchin was not one of the few people who could.
Use but theories require thinkers.
And I say that because the way that he did it was flawed. This is not just me saying like, hey, he said something that the majority disagreed with, because sometimes the majority is wrong, like they were with the KT boundary, with the dinosaurs. But if you look at Sitchin, the problem is that his translations contradict known Sumerian dictionaries. We have dictionaries of Sumerian left over from the Sumerians. We know what their words meant. And what he did was he took words like Anunnaki, which is a singular word, and he broke them into their component parts as if we didn't have dictionaries telling us the meaning of the word. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do etymology if you have a dictionary. At least not for his purposes.
Those rare individuals with the acuity to assess an idea's viability.
At least he's giving us a firm date on when the reset was. 1902. It's pretty BS, considering we have documents, and photographs
to perceive its merit.
Also, like, that's 5 generations ago. I think somebody would have said something at some point.
The world is full of critics, those unimaginative deniers whose distrust of the unconventional serves only to impede real investigation. The earnest searcher in reading my books, my research, my blogs, listening to my videos would do well to intellectually disengage from any preconceived notions.
Alright, so that right there is just some cult shit. Yeah, anybody reading my stuff should probably just disengage from reality.
Paradigms are products of our programming, intricate veils designed to conceal more than they convey.
What does that mean?
Only by choosing to look more closely will we begin to see.
When the whole world froze, those are preserved in amber.
The cracks in the holosphere.
What is holosphere?
My expertise is chronology. Anyone who has examined my 510-page chronicon can easily see that I have spent 2 decades reading and data mining over 1,300 nonfiction books.
That's impressive that you could spend 20 years on this and still be wrong.
10,000 plus hours studying the annals of antiquity has guided me.
Is that even the right year, the right number of years for Enoch? Okay, what do we got? Adam lives 130 years, and then we get Seth. All right, so let's do some math here. All right, 130 years. And then Seth, we get 105. Enosh is 90. Was Enosh in? Okay, cool. We're on the right path here. And then we get 70. And after that, we get 65. And then we get 162. All right, so we get 622. How do you get that wrong? By 1 year. How do you get that close and still be wrong?
10,000 plus hours studying the annals of antiquity has guided me to a most startling revelation. The records of the distant past were originally 3 separate chronologies. These events covering 2 timelines were of human provenance, but the third is imposed from somewhere else. I serve to disentangle these histories, identify their participants, and expose, remove, and explain the misinformation manufactured to hide historical chronology from modern discovery. Relative dating methods are all heavily dependent upon a number of assumptions, whether they be radiocarbon dating.
I love how he says that relative dating methods are predicated upon assumptions when everything he's saying is predicated upon assumptions. I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to go ahead and cite the Emerald Tablets, which don't exist. There are no Emerald Tablets. Where are they? Who wrote them? They're not even that old. I'm pretty sure they're the Emerald Tablets of Hermes Trismegistus, who's, like, not even that ancient. I mean, ancient, but not that ancient.
Potassium argon, thermal,
I think he was Hellenistic.
luminescence, thermal ionization, mass spectrometry, dendrochronology, or ice core drilling, thermal ionization.
This is funny. Ready?
Whether they be radiocarbon dating.
Radiocarbon dating is a method by which you measure the radioactive decay, because we know carbon's half-life. So, you can, and again, I'm not a scientist, but radiocarbon dating, at least within the, within stretches of carbon's half-life, which I think is like 5,700 years. I might be wrong on that one. Half-life of carbon. Carbon. Yeah, 5,700 years. So you can date it within stretches. I know that there are methods that are a little bit more precise now, but at the very least, to the several thousand year mark, accurate.
Potassium argon, thermal.
Wait, what?
Dependent upon a number of assumptions, whether they be radiocarbon dating, potassium argon, thermal, luminescence.
I don't know what potassium argon dating would be.
Thermal ionization.
Again, not sure what thermal ionization is.
Mass
We don't use that as historians.
spectrometry.
Mass spectrometry, also not used as a historian. It's just not our thing.
Dendrochronology, or
That one we do use. Because you know what dendrochronology is? It's once again something extremely simple and straightforward. You look at the number of rings on a tree. That's the number of years the tree lived. If the tree's dead, you can actually do something cool, which is you can use carbon dating and dendrochronology to figure out how long the tree lived for during what time period. And you can even use it to tell how dry a season was, because a good season is going to have wider rings, and a dry season will have shallower rings.
ice core drilling. Such methods produce, at best, only approximates. But today, we have a much more reliable way of...
So again, dendrochronology, not approximate. Very specific. If you know when the tree died, you can tell exactly how old it is.
dating ancient historical events, one that science has virtually ignored. There are thousands of old chronologies, annals, traditional datings, archaeological texts, dated monuments, and religious writings preserving dated events, all today translated into English, German, and French. Today, we are overwhelmed with new books offering new theories or new explanations
for
the failure of older models, now threatened by the occurrence of modern discoveries.
Yeah, see, the thing is, it's not that we're, like, threatened by it. We look at it and we go, huh, that's interesting. Guess we were wrong. And we move along. Like, I don't know what this idea is that historians, when confronted with new data, don't change our mindset. We just look into it a lot more deeply than this guy, because it's our job.
Scores of variant historical models, all supported by convincing cherry-picked data, has done nothing
Everything he's saying is projection.
but engender confusion and promote a vast knowledge gulf. With the majority of even
I do think you just said end gender confusion, not gender confusion. And not end gender confusion, engender confusion, just so that we're clear.
the learned knowing nothing at all about the astonishing gulf. With the majority of even the learned knowing nothing at all about the astonishing events of the ancient world.
What's really funny, like, and I understand that I'm somewhat uniquely equipped for this, because I have historian training, but I did not go the academic route, and so I was able to investigate this stuff a little bit more as somebody who was not a skeptic. Not specifically the Tartaria stuff, but like the Graham Hancock stuff, you know? And the Missing 401 stuff. The reason I'm into this kind of thing, and the reason I'm now on the side that's kind of debunking it more than supporting it, is that I believed it, and then I looked for myself. Not trying to prove it. I looked at it and I said, all right, what's the evidence say? And the evidence, I must say, was not on his side.
A novel idea is introduced, and again, the curious public is left with more questions than answers. Every
Well, we're happy to answer the questions if you ask them.
genre of science and history has been analyzed to support one model or another, except one.
Well, that's not true at all. Historians have been arguing about things for 200 years.
Chronology.
I'm still arguing with other historians. Hell, there's a page called Fraudulent Archaeology, Fraudulent Archaeology Hall of Fame on Facebook. I'm on that group. I'm in that group. And I'm in there arguing with archaeologists and historians like myself about history right now. All of these people are credentialed. Not all of them, but a lot of the people I'm arguing with are credentialed. I had a brief exchange with Flint Dibble. I'm trying to get him on the show. He seemed interested. So, like, you know, it's... History is constantly changing. We are constantly learning new things and bringing them into the narrative, because history is a narrative. But, I mean, the key with history is understanding what is based on evidence and what is a misinterpretation or a misrepresentation of that evidence. So, this idea that historians have, like, you know, settled on a narrative and stuck with it, generationally maybe, but each new generation kind of shifts the paradigm a bit as we learn more and more, and the people who are defending their dissertations die off.
The last serious chronologist,
I can turn him up.
Archbishop James Usher 360 years ago, and a staunch
Wait, what?
chronologist, except one. Chronology. The last serious chronologist, or Archbishop James Usher 3.
What does that mean?
Public is left with more questions than answers. Every genre of science and history has been analyzed to support one model or another, except one. Chronology.
Okay, so I think I understand better what he just said now. No, we're pretty clear on the chronology. Pretty firm on that one. I mean, again, like that's one of the few things you really can't argue, because you can go back and read the documents and be like, ah, cool. So this person wrote about this thing in this year and said it happened in the past. So we know that this event must have happened after that one. Well, what about the other one? Okay, well, this event says that it happened after this, but before that. Okay, cool. Now we can place this in the timeline as well. Chronology is, like, rather simple if you have documents. It gets more complicated once it's archaeological, not documentary, but still. I mean, the idea that we haven't settled on a chronology, yeah, we have, guy.
The last serious chronologist,
also, thank you, Keller.
Archbishop James Usher 360
and thank you, Jim, for the hand grenade.
ago, and a staunch
right, what did you say that guy's name was?
Or Archbishop James Usher 300.
Archbishop James Usher. Archbishop James Usher. I do just really quickly want to make one thing very clear. If we go to Fordham University Medieval Sourcebook, this is a great tool for anybody who's interested in medieval history. You know, it's rudimentary, but there's a whole bunch of sources on here. They're all free, all public domain. So let's see. Let's go Anglo-Saxons. All right. What do we have? Saxon invasions. Ah, here we go. History of the Britons. Oh, look. Guess what this is? It's chronology. It tells you the order in which things happened. Let's go to full text sources. Let's look for... Because same term here. And these are... We got these everywhere. Here we go. The Florentine Chronicle. We have medievals. What do we have? Trying to find a specific one. But if we go to Chronicle... Medieval source books. Here we go. The Florentine Chronicle and the Medieval source book. If we go to, let's go to the Celtic states. Now, let's do Anglo-Saxons. Let me type in into the search bar Chronicle. Oh, look. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. 3 of the same version in 3 different translations. When we click on Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, what do we get? Part 1, 81 through 748. Oh, look! 60 winters ere that Christ was born, Caius Julius, emperor of the Romans, with 80 ships sought Britain. Funny how that works, that there's a chronicle right here. And what is a chronicle? It's a chronology. I mean, these were like the, indexes, basically. It was like, these are the major events that happened in this year. Wikipedia has a ton of these now. So these are not like full histories. They're just explanations of what happened at a given time. But if we go to Archbishop James Ussher, what do we have? Can we chronicle? He was a chronicler. Okay. Okay, so am I to understand that what this guy is saying is that because we stopped writing chronicles and started writing histories? I mean, all histories are fleshed out chronicles. That's all a history book is. A chronicle is a very simple, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. A history is, this happened, and here's what it did. Then this happened, and here's how it was related to that, and what it did. It's just a simple misunderstanding of the terminology, which isn't all that unusual coming from these people.
160 years ago, and a staunch religionist, which hurt his credibility with the establishment.
Yes, Kellen, you're correct.
Isaac Newton, H.G. Wells, and Mellerish. But these men did not have the benefit of tens of thousands of modern discoveries. Our prestigious universities would never deign to acknowledge the importance of so meticulous a study, because it is the opinion of academics today to assume that our predecessors were simpletons.
Everything we read is primary source information. Like, the backbone of the historical field is primary sources. Everything else is built from that. I mean, no matter what you read, there will, in terms of modern literature, there will be a review of it. It's not that we assume they were simpletons. No, that's actually what the non-historians say. That's what your history teacher might have taught you in middle school. But no, actual historians, go speak to a medievalist or a late antiquity historian and ask them about the Dark Ages, because the very first thing they're going to tell you almost every time is going to be, well, actually, we don't call them the Dark Ages anymore. That's a misconception from the Victorian era. In reality, the Dark Ages were a time that we refer to as the early medieval or the migration period. And while they definitely did see a reduction in the standard of living and the technology available to the common man, they were also not a period of complete collapse. Civilization survived, and it was back and booming 150 years later. And by the year 1000, things were actually better than they ever were under the Romans.
Unable to accurately record observed events.
I love doing this because it's just like, I just get to remember college. Completely off topic, Mattis. Have you ever listened to Valhallelujah by Nanowar of... Maybe, but I might be mixing it up with Hard Rock Hallelujah by, I think, Lordy. Martyr Mouse said, off topic, can you do a video, maybe Patreon only, explain your general research methods? I've been thinking about doing that. It's going to be a little difficult. But I've been thinking about doing it. It would go on probably, it would be up for free. My goal is not to gatekeep anything. I don't want to withhold sources. I don't want to withhold knowledge. I mean, it's antithetical to what I do for a living and to my belief system. So, no, I don't want to keep anything from anybody. And this is why I laugh so hard at all the people complaining about us having the scripts for the videos on Patreon behind a $1 paywall. Is like, if you asked me for the sources, I would send you the sources. Like, I've never been the kind of person to be like, no, I'm not sharing with you. I don't put the sources in the video because, I mean, I cite them verbally. I say, hey, I got this from this. But I don't put the sources, like, up on screen. I also don't put a bibliography up. We're going to start doing a bit more of that. But, like, I was never hiding it. I would have happily shared my notes on any video in the past. The only difference was that they were handwritten, so they would have been a PDF that nobody but me could read. You guys want the boy? I can get the boy. Why migration period? Exactly what McPherson said. People were migrating. Migration period is the Huns. It's a mix. There were a mix of factors. One was a growing barbarian population. Another was, and barbarian I'm using in the sense of like outside of the Roman Empire, a growing barbarian population, mainly in the Germanic territories. And then you also had climate change. It was getting colder. So you had people who were being pushed down out of the north and out of the east. And you had the Huns rampaging west across Europe, driving, the Germans into the Roman Empire. So it's called the migration period because there were a whole bunch of migrations. Thing is, they were the result of a bunch of other things. And I will go get Archie for you. Oh, super from the start of the stream? I didn't see it. What? Yes, please. Where is it? Nove said, fellas, is it gay to have the most beautiful woman in your arms as you watch Yellowstone together? Oh, boy. I'm glad you're paying attention to my Twitter beefs. That's funny. And here's the boy. Here's the boy. Aw, bring him to me. Hello. Want to say hi to your fans? You want to say hi to your fans? Can you give us an ow woo? Ow, oh, it's cutting out. It's cutting out. Hang on. Yeah, we gotta turn off the filters. Hang on. Hang on. Noise suppression. There we go. Ow, ow! Did it turn off? Is he audible? Ow! I can't tell. I can't tell. Archie. Ow, ow! Ow! Ow, ow!
These are such half-hearted owls.
Yeah. He's like, why am I being forced to perform right now?
He just had dinner. He has a full belly.
Mm-hmm. He's a good boy. Oh, come here. Come here, you. If you guys haven't ever seen this, Archie lets me hold him like a baby. It's actually very cute. He's just like this. He snugs his little nose into my chin. You want to get down, Bubba? There you go.
Ella was so good at the pet store, she didn't try to eat the cat.
That's good.
I know.
That's an improvement. That is an improvement, to be sure.
She didn't scream at the cat.
Good. I'm glad.
I'm so proud of her. And the cat was out the whole time.
There we go. All right.
When two different peoples from opposing hemispheres
Oh, party like 1776. This is so much worse than Tartaria.
written in different languages.
This is imagine Tartaria mixed with what appears to be fundamentalist Christianity, and also those dudes who talk loudly at you in their truck with sunglasses on. And I'm not kidding. See?
That the collective is fixed. The protocols of the collective is fixed. Dungeon programming is real. Doesn't matter if you're a conservative Republican. Doesn't matter if you're a liberal Democrat. They're just opposite ends of the same stick.
Like, it's almost too much to. I almost can't take it serious. I can't take it seriously. I love this. I started listening in 2022 and started breaking free in late 2023. It really clicked in February of this year, and now my life in April bears almost no resemblance to my old life that ended first week of March. I've left a relationship with a normie, broke a lease, lost my job, and while deciding which state I wanted to move to, I ran off to France to meet an errant who spent a week in prison for refusing to follow any COVID protocols in the restaurant he owned. We're starting a business together, and I'm moving there at the end of June. Like, what I'm hearing here is that this woman destroyed her entire life because of this guy's videos. Best wishes for your future. It sounds like you've made a great decision. She's moving to France to live with a random felon. Ah!
Reported the exact same events and dated them at the exact same time on opposite code and written in events, even when two different peoples from opposing hemispheres, written in different languages, reported the exact same events and dated them at the exact same time on opposite coasts of the Atlantic Ocean.
What's the thing?
Anti-establishment historians tend to be an unpopular lot, and my own works will undoubtedly serve to reinforce this attitude.
Okay, no, it's not. You're not unpopular because you're not in the ivory tower. You're unpopular because you say a whole bunch of things that are wrong. And then you dig your heels in and continue to insist upon being wrong. That's why you're unpopular. I'm not a mainstream historian, and I'm quite popular. It's not me bragging. That's just making an observation. It's also bragging a little bit.
By those who have published garbage adorned as history. It is my intent to make enemies, to
Actually, honestly, I hope all these people go marry a felon in France. I mean, do you understand how... shit. Y'all understand how good that would be for America if we were able to just ship all these nonsense weirdos off to France?
topple their cherished pillars, to
White Trash Panda, you're not a random felon, you're our felon.
silence those charlatans who have sold their fictions off as facts. My mission is to educate those willing to know. I have no doubt I will lock horns with many.
Wait.
My mission is to educate those willing to know. I
love the cut there where he just doesn't finish what he's saying.
no doubt I will lock horns with many along the way. The materials that I offer in my books are for those who are unafraid of the dark, who want the truth undiluted, direct. The ancient past, behind-the-scenes happenings throughout all time periods, censored histories, the academic cover-ups, real facts about race, religion, subversive societies, and even predictive systems of analysis by which future events can...
Oh, right, I forgot about this. Did I pull that one up? Oh, yeah. He's anti-Graham Hancock. He's anti-Hancock. Like, I love this. This presentation will show you that Graham Hancock has zero evidence to support his assertion made in published books and numerous podcasts that Atlantis was destroyed in 9600 BC. Oh my god, this is incredible. Man, I am... How far gone do you need to be to start referring to Graham Hancock as controlled opposition? Like... I almost gotta wonder if this dude is a grifter. Because you're making a reach there. Oh, wait, here's, just really quickly. This is going to be funny.
Thoughts on flat Earth conspiracy theories,
Yeah, isn't
conspiracy
that
theories in
something?
general. I have to say, the Earth is not flat. We live on this huge ball in space. I just have no doubt about that. It's an unnecessary thing. Why does the Earth need to be flat? And the ancients knew this. The ancients knew this forever. The ancient Egyptians knew this. Everybody knows that the Earth is not flat. You just need to stand on a cliff and look at a distant ocean horizon and see a ship come towards you, and you'll see the funnel of the ship first before you see the deck of the ship. That's because it's coming around a curved horizon. Thoughts?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right, so here's what we got, though, because I pulled up a bunch of these. We got Toltec to High-Tech, who really are the elite. We have Enochian Secrets, audio reading of the Lost Scriptures of Giza, which I think is probably going to be too boring, honestly. I'll cut that one. This one's really short. Why am I having so much trouble with my turtle leashes here, man? Oh, I know why. All right, so this is just... That was spectacular, very impressive, well done, Jason and team. There's nothing here! Why are you impressed by this? A middle schooler could do this. What? All right, we got Lost Children of Mew. This one's Old World America, Grand Canyon, and Petrified Forest. I mean, what do you guys want? I feel like this one I should save for its own stream. You know? Like, it just seems like the kind of thing that I should save for its own stream. Where's save? There we go. Watch later. Yeah, I mean, I just want to, like... He's got playlists. Let's see here. Phoenix Phenomenon. Mysterious History. That's probably the one best suited to us, isn't it? What do we also have? We have, yeah, alright. So, I mean, Dark Scriptures and Mysterious History are probably the two I'm best equipped to target here. What do we got? Sumerians in America. Oh, boy. The Fourth World. I'm assuming that's about the Navajo, which is something that even I don't understand. Great Wall of Rome. Huh? Secret Keepers of History. That's short enough to be a starting point, I think. Alright, Underworld Cities of the Old. What else we got here? Oh, there's so much. It's just like... This is the problem with these channels. Every video is 4 hours long. Like, I'm not gonna watch that. Slavery, Young Chicago, A Giant, and an Old Sussex Library. Alright, let's start with Secret Keepers of History. Alright, let's get past the intro here. Also, I'm gonna move my computer.
As the alchemist dissolves the base matter, purging it of its impurities, so too does the invisible hand erase the vestiges of old civilizations. Consigning them to the abyss of oblivion. Yet from the ashes of the old, a new order emerges. Yet from the ashes of the old, a new order emerges, coagulated and reformed by the divine alchemist, who breathes life into the embers and fashions a new civilization from the remnants of its predecessor. This divine alchemy is evident in the annals of human history, where the rise and fall of empires bear witness to the transformative power of the unseen present. Ancient civilizations such as those of Babylon, Egypt, Rome, once mighty and indomitable, were swept away by the tides of time, their glorious edifices crumbling to...
And like a whole bunch of barbarians. Like really a rather absurd number of barbarians, if we're being honest.
Dust. Their wisdom and knowledge vanishing into the shadows of the past.
No,
Yet
not really. We really didn't lose all that much tech. Concrete, Roman concrete, we didn't know how they did it for a while. People didn't build aqueducts anymore. The Romans were not as advanced as everyone thinks they are. It was really just architecture. I mean, they were not that... It's not like they were far ahead on medicine. They were really good engineers. But also a large part of their ability to do that stuff was the centralized nature of their society.
Of these fallen empires emerged new civilizations, bearing the seeds of their forebears, enriched by their legacies and strengthened by their lessons. Our world is the backdrop to an immortal dance where the dead think they are alive and the living just want to escape the land of the dead. It is a realm where the wise discern the patterns that underlie the tapestry of history, and where fools ensnare themselves in threads of endless arguments.
We are 2.5 minutes into this video, and he has not said anything.
They cannot see the evidence of the existence of a secret order, a brotherhood of learned men who throughout the ages have concealed the knowledge in ancient texts or forgotten brotherhood of learned arguments. They cannot see the evidence of the existence of a secret order, a brotherhood of learned men who throughout the ages have concealed the knowledge in ancient texts or forgotten civilizations.
This guy seems to just think that, like, it seems like he took Assassin's Creed really literally. Like, that's the only way I can comprehend anything he's saying.
In secret repositories, hidden only in the underworld. This noble fraternity, acting as custodians of the past and benefactors of the present, release these precious tomes and treatises into the public domain to preserve the knowledge and enlighten the minds of those who seek the truth. The Hidden Order, a clandestine society of erudite scholars clinging to some ancient ideal, has for centuries operated in the shadows, safeguarding the priceless treasures of antiquity.
Oh, that is
These
fucking with
guardians
my
of
eyes.
knowledge, recognizing the fragility of human memory and the impermanence of civilizations, have endeavored to preserve the works of great thinkers, poets, and sages, concerning them, concealing them in secret repositories.
He's not even bothering to edit his audio.
Hidden from the prying eyes of the uninitiated and the ravages of time. The secret repositories, ensconced in the...
Hang on. Sorry, my headphones are giving me trouble. Come on. Oh.
For the accumulated wisdom of the past, with created and the ravages of time. The secret repositories, ensconced...
Okay. I don't know what he's trying to say here, because it's not like this was a secret. None of this was being kept secret.
In the depths of the underworld, serve as sanctuaries for the accumulated wisdom of the past. Within their hollowed halls, the texts of forgotten empires repose, their contents spanning the breadth of human knowledge, from the sciences and arts to the esoteric and occult. These subterranean vaults, impenetrable and impervious to the ravages of time, stand as testaments to the dedication and foresight of the Hidden Order.
Bro,
Seek
what
to
are you
preserve the
talking
light of human
about?
intellect against the encroaching knowledge, the sudden renaissance of forgotten wisdom, and the unheralded historical annals of the Irish, the Anglo...
Wait, what?
And ignore to their folly the unbroken records of the Chinese, the long historical annals of the Irish, the Anglo-Saxon...
The long historical annals of the Irish? You the ones that go back, like, 500 years?
In Chronicles, the Frankish Annals, and the Nuremberg Chronicles. In Gibbon, we find the evidence of a man who preserved the many histories of Europe in gigantic volumes of books that are but the preserved texts of his predecessors.
No. Gibbon was great for his day. Assuming we're talking about the same Gibbon here. Not that Gibbon. I'm trying to remember. I think it's Edward. Yeah, Edward Gibbon. Yeah, this is so here again. This is from the period where history was a hobby of the rich, not a not a field of the academic.
These have endured despite the vicissitudes of time.
And Gibbon was great. He just was not a modern historian.
The persecution of
He didn't have methodology. He didn't have peer review.
the ignorant. They owe their survival in no less part to this hidden order.
And the reason I say that is, like, the issue you run into with history before the invention of the telegraph is that nobody was checking anybody's work. It was really easy to make something up, publish it, and then somebody else would cite you. That's why we have so many things that are, like, allegedly written by and allegedly about. There are a ton of things that came out of the Victorian era and the area immediately preceding it that just don't make sense.
Their guardianship of the secret repositories, the custodians of the ancient wisdom, have ensured that the esoteric teachings and practices of the past remain accessible to the seekers of the present, and that the flame of human intellect is never extinguished.
Gotta be honest with you, fellas, a lot of the esoteric secrets that you're gonna find in secret societies like Freemasonry are the same kind of thing as this. It's just kind of like people saying stuff. You know, there's a guy in my lodge. He's a really great guy. I love him, but he loaned me a couple of books. Hang on. Here we go. Loaned me a couple of books. This one is Rex Deus. I've read a little bit of it. This is Holy Blood, Holy Grail. Also read a little bit of it. Same general concept. Let me open to a random page and read from it. Okay. Okay. The divinatory pack of cards known as the tarot, which was used by initiates to impart spiritual insights of a heretical nature through its symbolic coding, displays mysterious connections with the Grail Search and certain of the leading families of Rex Deus. The true origins of this form of prophecy are unknown, but it is believed that it came from the Orient to the Mediterranean littoral around the 13th century. At that time, the Eastern Pack was transformed by influences traceable to the Cathars, Gypsies, Knights Templar, Jewish Kabbalah, and Hermetic magical beliefs. There are even some who claim that the tarot originated with the Knights Templar, and not surprisingly, when they were tried for heresy and suppressed, the 4 cards representing knights suddenly disappeared. The Grail scholar Malcolm Godwin claims that it is possible the Templars learned their use from their Saracen rivals. As you can see, there's not a ton in the way of scholarly citations here. Like, I just... And if we go to... Yeah, I mean... Here, let me read you the idea here. Behind this book. Where's the introduction? Rennes le Chateau, a name equated with mystery, intrigue, and stories of buried treasure, was virtually unknown until 1972, when a television documentary presented by Henry Lincoln first brought this small hilltop village in southwestern France to the attention of the British public. In 3 programs presented over several years, this masterly storyteller recounted a series of interlinked mysteries. There are endnotes, not footnotes, by the way. The television programs were followed by a book, The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail, written by Michael Bagent, Richard Lee, and Henry Lincoln. That's this book right here. So this book cites this book. And this book, if we open it, this is Holy Blood, Holy Grail. It was published, where is it? I forget the year. 1982. This is the 5th print. Yeah, I can't tell. Anyway, point being, this one also starts in Rennes-le-Château and talks about the Albigensian Crusade and the Siege of Montségur and Catharism and all of that. The problem with these books is that as you read through them, what you find is that they're the same kind of thing as this. People take something out of context historically and then they present it. It reads like it is an academic text, but the substance of the text is lacking. And that's what happens with a lot of these guys, is they'll read something, but they won't vet their source. It's the same as what I've been dealing with David Paulides. You know, like, I look through these, and let me see if I can find the marital status of Jesus. It was not our intention to discredit the Gospels. We sought only to winnow through them, to locate certain fragments of possible or probable truth, and extract them from the matrix of embroidery surrounding them. You can tell, it's a style of writing. It's that look how smart I am style of writing. Let's see. We were seeking fragments, moreover, of a very precise character. Fragments that might attest to a marriage between Jesus and the woman known as the Magdalene. Such attestations, needless to say, would not be explicit. In order to find them, we realized we would be obliged to read between lines, fill in certain gaps, account for certain caesuras and ellipses. We would have to deal with omissions, with innuendos, with references that were, at best, oblique. And we would not only have to look for evidence of a marriage, we would also have to look for evidence of circumstances that might have been conducive to a marriage. Our inquiry would thus have to encompass another of distinct but closely related questions. We began with the most obvious of them. Here's the problem. If you read the Bible, it's very clear that Jesus was not married. There's no question about it in the book itself. It's not there. But we'll continue along. I mean, here, this is, this right here says this is the tomb of a master mason from the 1700s. Masonic tomb of the, 1600s. Skull and crossbones indicate the buried man was a master mason. So here's why this is a problem. Ready? I'm not sure. This is a book that was handed to me by a mason, right? Loaned to me by a mason in my lodge. Masonic tomb of the 17th century. The skull and crossbones indicate the buried man was a master mason. Those of you that have seen the Freemasonry video on our channel, quick quiz. Why is that a problem? 17th century Master Mason. Why is that a problem? You can put your guesses in now. I shall wait. I think there's like a 20-second delay, so. Also, Chimp with a hand grenade. What scout camp are you at? Because if you don't feel comfortable telling me, that's fine. But I used to go to Horseshoe. Nobody's guessing. Come on, guys. That's no fun. All right, anyway, the problem is that there were no Master Masons until 1723. Like, actually, I think it's even later than that, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, exactly. There we go. You shouldn't be getting ads. I have them turned off. If you're getting ads, that's a problem. Let me talk to YouTube. I have ads turned off right now, so I'm very confused as to why you're getting them. But yeah, you're correct. There were no Master Masons yet. So, I struggle when a Templar hands me this book and tells me, you need to read this. Because that's a very simple fact that's wrong. It can't have been a Master Mason. The degree didn't exist yet. What else do we have? Is there any evidence in the Gospels, direct or indirect, to suggest that Jesus was indeed married? There is, of course, no explicit statement to the effect that he was. On the other hand, there is no explicit statement to the effect that he was not. I would argue that the fact there was no explicit statement that he was, and not a single mention of his wife anywhere in the text, is a pretty clear-cut sign that he was not married. What else do we have? And this is both more curious and more significant than it might first appear. As Dr. Geza Vermes of Oxford University points out, there is complete silence in the Gospels concerning the marital status of Jesus. Such a state of affairs is sufficiently unusual to ancient Jewry to prompt further inquiry. The Gospels state that many of the disciples, Peter for example, were married. At no point does Jesus himself advocate celibacy. On the contrary, in the Gospel of Matthew, he declares, "Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh." All right, well, here's the problem with that. It's going to take me a minute because I can't remember the exact verse. Jesus on celibacy. But he said to them, all cannot accept... Here, okay. Is it at the end of this one? Okay. Now it came to pass... Wait, where were we? What the fuck? Hang on, let me find it again. Ah, okay. Yeah, because it put me in the middle of the fucking thing. Damn it. Yeah, give me the whole chapter, my guy. Matthew 19, come on. All right, now it came to pass, when Jesus had finished saying these things, that he departed from Galilee and came to the region of Judea beyond the Jordan, and great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. His disciples, okay, he said to them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, permitted you to divorce your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and marries another, commits adultery. And whoever marries her is divorced, and whoever marries her who is divorced commits adultery. His disciples said to him, if such is the case of the man with his wife, it is better not to marry. But he said to them, all cannot accept this saying, but only those to whom it has been given. For there are eunuchs who are born with us from their mother's womb, and there are eunuchs who are made eunuchs by men, and there are eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He who is able to accept it, let him accept it. Jesus right here is saying, if you're capable of celibacy, stick with it. But none of you are, so be fruitful and multiply. So the fact that this book says, at no point did Jesus teach about celibacy is objectively wrong. He does it in arguably the most famous book of the Bible. Matthew and John are by far the most cited books of the Bible in everyday conversation. These are the books people know the best. And right here, chapter 19, Jesus Christ explicitly says that celibacy is preferred, but that's not really a thing for people who aren't eunuchs. So go ahead and be fruitful and multiply. That's what he's saying here, you know? I mean, if we continue onwards here, the gospel, where are we? Such a statement can hardly be reconciled with an injunction to celibacy. Unless you read the Bible, in which case it can be reconciled very easily. And if Jesus did not preach celibacy, he did, there is no reason to suppose that he practiced it, except for the fact that at no point does it ever say Jesus had a wife. According to the Judaic custom at the time, it was not only unusual, but almost mandatory that a man be married. Well, guess what? Jesus was kind of not your average guy. In fact, one of the main things you see Jesus do over and over and over again is buck contemporary Jewish custom. That's a whole foundational argument of the book. So I really struggle to understand where this author is coming from, and if they actually read the Bible before they wrote this. You know, it's what, Dr. what? Geza Verms. Because here's the other thing, is a lot of the time you will have people like this cite something when that person isn't actually a scholar in that field. Let's see what Bart Ehrman has to say. Bart Ehrman likes her. Or him. Him? Yeah. Bart Ehrman likes him, which is not a good sign for Christians. Bart Ehrman is not a Christian. Far from it. Oh boy. Also, important detail here. Geza Verms was a it's really hard to phrase this without sounding like you have certain bad political beliefs. Geza Verms was a Jew, which means that he's a little biased on Jesus, in the same way that Christians are biased on Jesus. A Christian scholar is probably going to write favorably about Jesus and write favorably about the New Testament. Jewish scholars are less likely to do so. They're more likely to write favorably about the Old Testament and negatively about the New Testament in terms of biases. I'm not saying that that's all scholars at all, because most biblical scholars are pretty good at putting their own prejudices aside, their own biases aside. But it is important to understand, especially for somebody who was born in 1924, that there will be a lot more of that, a lot more intensity around those kinds of things. Now, I will say, I don't know Geza's work, but I will say, this tells me he hasn't read the New Testament. He's no longer alive, but that tells me very plainly that he might have been a biblical scholar, but he was not paying attention to the New Testament. He just wasn't. So, you know, I'm not sure what the point of citing him is, if he's saying something that is in clear contradiction with Matthew. Let's see. Where else do we have? What do we have here? On the contrary, in the Gospel of Matthew, he declares, "Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? For this cause shall a man..." Okay, yeah, there we go. Hardly can be reconciled. Except among certain Essenes and certain communities, celibacy was vigorously condemned. I swear to God, man. It's been a while, but that term rings some bells. Mystic Jewish sect during the Second Temple period. Okay, yeah, this is fun. So, a mystic Jewish sect, which would have been much closer to what Jesus was teaching about. It's been a while, though. I don't want to make any positive claims. But yeah, just to continue that chapter, that page really quick. During the late 1st century, one Jewish writer even compared deliberate celibacy with murder, and he does not seem to have been alone in this attitude. And it was obligatory for a Jewish father to find a wife for his son, as it was to ensure that his son be circumcised. Well, interesting thing here. Who was Jesus' father? Not a Jewish guy. It was God. And his parents knew it was God the whole time. If we're assuming the Bible is telling a true story, his parents knew it was God the whole time. Let's see. If Jesus was not married, this fact would have been glaringly conspicuous. He was 33. No, it wouldn't have been. It would have drawn attention to itself and be used to characterize and identify him. It might have been. What else do we have? It would have set him apart in some significant sense from his contemporaries, which is why, if it was true that he was married, it would have been a big deal. It would have been mentioned. All right, if Jesus were indeed celibate as later tradition claims, it's not later tradition, by the way. this is original to the Bible, to the church fathers. None of the church fathers argue that Jesus had a wife. None of the Gospels argue that Jesus had a wife. Acts doesn't say that Jesus had a wife. None of the letters say that Jesus has a wife. Not a single man who knew Jesus said Jesus has a wife. All right, what else do we have? The absence of any such reference strongly suggests that as Jews, as far as the question of celibacy was concerned, conformed to the conventions of his time and culture. It suggests, in short, that he was married. That is such a horribly illogical series of claims that I don't know how anybody who is educated in this field could possibly buy into them. And that's not an attack on my brother here in the lodge. That's just to say that just because a book is well written does not mean it is correct. And just because somebody presents themselves as an expert does not mean that they are. If Jesus of Nazareth had been married, you would have had a lot more people claiming it. It would have been something that was a big argument, but it wasn't. There was never an argument over whether or not Jesus was married in the church. The church agreed, essentially from the beginning, no, Jesus was not married. Okay? There's no mention of his sons, his daughters, his wife at his death. What, are you telling me that 4 different gospels all had it wrong, and that the one that said he had a wife that was written like a century later, or appeared a century later, you're gonna tell me that one's right? No. Come on, man. Get with it. What else we got? Underworld cities of old, the Grand Canyon, Cappadocia, and China. Oh boy. What was right after this one? Lost Children of Mu? It's hard to tell, like, what the order is supposed to... Because here's the problem, is this video doesn't actually say anything. Like, what is this connected to? But, alright, let's see where this one goes. Because I actually know about the Cappadocian ones. I don't know so much about China, but I do know a lot about the Cappadocian ones. Daring Kuyu is my jam.
Almost instantly after a series of military science operations in the 1950s and 60s following World War II, the U.S. military and the Western powers began excavating down and building secret underground facilities, districts, and whole cities networked together in thousands of miles of tunnels.
Yeah! The Denver airport's one of them.
After the World Wars, the
I have that on authority from a source that I trust but cannot reveal.
international
I know you're gonna have to trust me on that. I hope you take my credibility for my other things seriously.
scientific
All right. I do think John the Baptist was an Essene, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna look that one up though. Josephus has Archaix. Simon of the Archaix, John of the Archaix, Archaeoi. Let's see. John the Baptist has also been argued to have been an Essene, as there are numerous parallels between John's mission and the Essenes. Yeah. So that's kind of why I was laughing. I didn't want to say anything too intensely about it because I hadn't had a chance to look back, but yeah. If I could understand him, I would be stealing this for a magical girl urban fantasy, but God, his audio is so damn bad. Yeah. Also, you make working Home Depot's outside garden at 3 a.m. tolerable. Oh, well, thank you. I would imagine that has to be a relatively peaceful job, though. Martyr Mouse, I don't know about that, because we definitely learned about Essenes in my New Testament studies class. Let's see. Flourished from the 2nd century BC to the 1st century CE. So it's that they disappeared in the 2nd century. What you would guess, though, is that the Essenes probably mostly became Christians. If they were John the Baptist's people, they probably became Christians very early, which is why you wouldn't have many later.
Communities of the military-industrial
That's definitely what I can look into for Weird Bible, though.
Complex were making major discoveries.
There is one. I think it is Evangelion of James. Proto-Evangelion of James. Sorry. Okay, Proto-Evangelion of James. 2nd century infancy gospel telling the Mary's conception. The birth of Jesus immediately following. Condemned by Pope Innocent. Wide influence on Mariology. Wife. I thought it was this one. Maybe not. Which book says Jesus? It might be the Gospel of Mary. So, and this is the other thing that bugs me, is like Dan Brown wrote the Da Vinci Code. It's fiction. He wasn't making the claim that Jesus was actually married. Lost Gospel, ancient manuscript. I think this is the Gospel of Mary. Yeah, we've uncovered an ancient writing that is encrypted within a hidden meaning. Like, that's usually all you need to know. I think it was either James or Mary that said that, but those were tossed out at Nicaea, so... Not Nicaea, sorry, Constantinople.
Our world and history that led to the creation of
Rome? Rome. Yeah, Rome.
public-funded organizations that pretended
But yeah, you're right. Yeah, for the most part, yeah, Party Lake 1776, you're right.
to spend the money on space exploration.
Let me take a look at what Britannica said. Encyclopedia. Because I definitely learned in college that they were 2nd century BC. Oh no, yeah. Martyred Mouse. Are you sure you're not? It's 2nd century BC on Britannica on my end. But here we go.
While actually funding the construction of this new subterranean infrastructure.
Sorry,
Such
what?
a massive of public-funded organizing major discoveries about our world and history that led to the creation of public-funded organizations that pretended to spend the money on space exploration.
Oh, he's a flat earther. Oh. He's a flat earther. Oh my god. It's perfect. It's all coming together.
While actually funding the construction of this new subterranean infrastructure.
They were both funded at the same time. All of the... Listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the government doesn't lie about how it spends money, but come on, man, we were going to space.
Such a massive deception perpetuated against the public, taxpayers, and even the lower-level employees of these public space corporations was aided by the complicit mainstream media giants and continues today under the front of NASA, SpaceX, and other space-related companies.
Which mainstream media giants existed in the 50s? I want to know what the guy says about that.
The level of deception required the aid of intelligence agencies, and the actual truth was only revealed at the time to those with the highest levels of security clearances. Many whistleblowers who have reported this, like William Cooper and Phil Schneider, have lost their lives for informing the public about what they found.
All right, how did Phil Schneider die? Died 1996. How did Phil Schneider die? Guy's not even important enough to have a Wikipedia page. Whew. That might be him. Nope, that's not him. All right, this is Spreaker, so it's a podcast. I mean, I'm struggling to even find evidence that he died. Who is this guy? Wait, okay, I just looked a man up, and he didn't... Maybe it's that? All right, this is definitely... We have panin.s3.uk.io.cloud.ovh.net. My data is absolutely being stolen right now. Cause of death. Ruled a suicide, but some believe he was murdered. He was 48. But, I mean... Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, there we go. Go back a little bit. Biography. I mean, are there any pictures of the guy? He doesn't... Like, he didn't look like he was... Well, he said he was injured during an underground firefight between Delta Force and, I assume, EBEs is extraterrestrials of some kind. I mean, Delta Force? Really? Like, that's just... I wanted to check when they were founded, but, that just doesn't make sense. Strangled, it says. Alright, so IMDb needs to do some work, because... I can't find anything on the guy. Also, every time I try to leave this specific website, it glitches and takes forever to do it. Yeah, mainstream media is probably just code for Jews. You're making a good point there. Death of Philip Schneider. Which is ironic, because that's a Jewish name. It's the wrong Jewish... That's the wrong Philip Schneider. Is there another Philip Schneider we can find here? Phil Schneider. Here we go. US UFO conspiracy theories. Schneider. Here we go. In 1995, a man calling himself Philip Schneider made a few appearances at UFO conventions, espousing essentially a new version of the theories mentioned above. Schneider claimed to have been the son of a U-boat commander who was captured by the Allies and switched sides. According to Schneider, his father had been part of the Philadelphia experiment, which, by the way, there is no evidence that that happened. Like, I will tell you this much. I'm from Philly. Nobody here knows about it. If it happened, it would be something that literally everybody alive at the time, which isn't that many people anymore, but everybody who was alive at the time would have been able to tell you about this, including my grandfather, who never mentioned it once. So... all right. According to Schneider, his father had been part of the Philadelphia experiment. He claimed to have played a role in the construction of deep underground military bases across the United States. And as a result, he said that he had been exposed to classified information of various sorts, as well as having personal experience with EBEs. He claimed to have survived the Dulce base? Okay, catastrophe, and decided to tell his tale. What is this? The Phil Schneider story. There we go. According to folklore... According to folklore, Schneider died on January 17th. All right, so subject of conspiracy theory claiming that a jointly operated human and alien underground... Huh? Does the base exist? Okay, it looks like it does exist. All right, Phil Schneider's story. Oh, boy, here we go. Cynthia Dreyer lived in Portland, Oregon, and I have the ex-wife of Philip Schneider. Philip and I met in 1986 and were married in Carson City, Nevada, and had a daughter in 1987, divorced in 1990, and lived in separate residences. Received a call that Philip was dead in his apartment and apparently died up to a week before his body was discovered. At the time of discovery of his body, his cause of death was by a stroke. I went to the funeral home, asked to view the body, but due to composition, suggested otherwise, wanted to be sure. How do we know that this is actually written by her? All right, so we're going to look up Cynthia Dreyer. Here we go. Here's a find a grave. All right, so let's go to family search. I'm going to go records. Gonna go Cynthia Dreyer. Gonna say, where'd she say she lived? Portland, Oregon. All right. We have a child named Cynthia Dreyer. What we got here? By the way, those of you who are asking about the how do you do research thing, this is how I do my research. Birth date 1912, so it would have been far too old to be the correct Cynthia Dreyer. We have a Cynthia M. Schneider. Birth date April 1953, residence Oregon. They had a daughter, it said, right? Daughter Marie. Nothing listed about a daughter named Marie. Let's see. Let's do it this way. Because I'm not finding her. I'm going to say Phil Schneider. Where was it said he lived? I mean, here, if we go to Carson City, Nevada, marriage records, 1987. Death records, birth records, cemetery indexing, citizenship, public health officer reports. That won't tell me. It's 87, so that won't help either. It doesn't help either. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go Cynthia Dreyer. I'm going to say Carson City, Nevada. Don't have a birth year. And then we're going to add a spouse named Schneider. We have a Cynthia Dreyer in Sonoma, California, USA, but she would have been 43 at the time of the marriage. Very unlikely she would have had a child. Also the wrong place. Marriage, let's say Carson City, Nevada. Would have been 1987. 1987. Not getting any marriage records for a Cynthia Dreyer from 1987 in Carson City. So, and this is basically just the free Mormon version of Ancestry. Not finding any Phil. Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing here. So I'm inclined to believe that all of this is total bullshit. Self-taught geologist and explosives expert, and was an ex-governmental structural engineer. Schneider worked for the Morrison-Knudsen Company, U.S. Corps of Engineers, and the U.S. Navy. Met his wife Cynthia Dreyer in 1986 and was married in Carson City in 1987. They have a daughter, Maria, who was born in 1987. So if this is true, then I should at the very least be able to find a Marie? Is that what it said? Maria. Maria Schneider. And we're going to have a, where was she born? Mother would have the first name Cynthia. We have a Marilyn Schneider, but it's the wrong year. Birth would be 1987 and 1987. Yep, not getting any matches on this one. All right, but we do have a Maria Schneider here. Residence. Laconia, Eden Prairie, October 1987. Could be. But that's a Williams. That could be a married name, though. We have George or Red Maple and Cynthia for a child named Maria, but this is birthplace Eureka, California. It could be. This is Hawaii, of all places. BYU, Hawaii. All right. Survived by wife Cynthia, sons Peter and Paul, daughter Trisha King, stepchildren Mary Schneider. Not close enough. I mean, the fact that he has a wife named Cynthia is weird. I'll grant that. But this is, he died in Honolulu. So it seems like this Phil Schneider guy, if he existed, is not who they're saying he is.
Sad.
Wait,
But the real mystery is
my
not how
audio. I can't hear. So, again, cursory research, and we found out that this Phil Schneider guy sounds like he didn't actually exist.
about what they found. Sad. But the real mystery is not how they remained secret for so long, nor how they successfully perpetuated the hoax of NASA and the totally comical lunar landing fiction. No, the genuine...
We were actually going to do that this week, the moon landing. But after how the Flat Earth videos went, even though a whole bunch of people wanted to see a video on the moon landing, we decided against it.
mystery here is the why
So we'll cover it in 5 years for the 60th anniversary.
of all the urgency. What did the military scientists in the 1950s learn about our
chilly.
world that induced them this worldwide massive program of construction and the immense misdirection campaigns enacted to keep the public at large from knowing?
I don't know, maybe the threat of nuclear war. Could that have had something to do with it, perhaps?
What advantage do they seek in housing a few million people in underground facilities?
Probably survival of a nuclear war, because this was constructed during the Cold War.
The answer is in old books. They have discovered the Phoenix phenomenon, and we know today that prior civilizations also built underground Phoenix fallout facilities.
What does that mean?
We know this because we have found many of them. In China, there are the famous Longyu caves, also called the stone chambers, 24 artificial stone caverns for which the Chinese admit to having no historical records that mention them.
All right, hang on.
4 artificial stone caverns, there are the famous Longyu caves.
All right, Longyu Caves, they're right here. Where is this? All right, so I will admit that is Eastern China. That is a spot that you would expect there to be a historical record of.
Also called the stone chambers, 24 artificial stone caverns for which the Chinese admit to having no historical records that mention them. These were only recently discovered in 1992, and the average floor of the caverns is 11,000 square feet, with heights. The ceiling is 98 feet tall in these caverns. These astounding underground caverns built by men in unrecorded history seem...
I'm not going to lie. I would not put it past the CCP to fake this.
to have had an engineering purpose that has escaped us today. They are technical in design, and what is truly profound is that for ages, the large hill these subterranean constructions were found underneath has always in China been called Phoenix Mountain.
What?
Underneath has always in China been called Phoenix Mountain.
All right, well, now we gotta go ahead and take a look at that. All right, and what was the other one? Longyu Caves. All right, so these are on the Huizhong. Quintiang, Guizhong, Shangzhou. Oh, this is incredible. Wait, this is amazing. Oh, this is beautiful. All right, Huzhou, Lanzhou Peak, Hangzhou. Okay, all right. Hangzhou. Where are we here? Guizhong, Longyi, Jinhua, Huangshan. I'm trying my best, but I cannot pronounce Mandarin very well. Okay, so Hangzhou. What's here? How about this? All right, we got... Here's what we're going to do. We're going to directions. Lantu Peak to Longyu Caves. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, that's tough, bud. That's tough, Archaix. It's about as long as it takes me to get from Philadelphia to State College. I mean, that's tough. That is a tough one. Jinhua right there. So this is Longyu Caves. You got to travel 194 kilometers to get to... All right, let's see if we're looking at the right thing here. We could be wrong. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm wrong here. I'll give him a shot. Let's do the double check. The old discount double check. Yeah, in neither case is that the same location as this. I mean, that's Fengshuan Road. Let's look at so no. In neither case is this the same location. Longyu is down here. The closest peak that could possibly be that one is up here. They're not the same mountain.
In another mystery.
All right, time to comment. Those caves aren't under the mountain you claimed they are. Maybe fact check your sources now and then. Oh boy. Continuing on.
In the Grand Canyon, thousands of caves and ancient mines have been found. This is a photo of the entrance to Stanton's Cave. When it was first explored, it was determined to be a man-made construction and had obviously vaulted ceilings, and authorities later installed a massive iron bar wall. This is a photo of the entrance to Stanton's Cave.
Oh boy. Okay, so it's clearly not closed off. National Parks blog, Stanton's Cave. Yep. Yeah, so that doesn't appear to be man-made necessarily at all. Now, I will admit, I do find it interesting when I see a cave like this, and I'm like, how did that form naturally? But, you know, I'm not a geologist, so this cave has been closed for your safety. This abandoned mine, this cave, probably because abandoned mine was convincing people there was gold there. Yeah, so that does not look like vaulted ceilings to me. That looks like a very natural cave or a very old mine, but we know the Native Americans in some places were mining copper, so that's not necessarily weird.
When it was first explored, it was determined to be a man-made construction and had obviously vaulted ceilings, and authorities later installed
Also, he says this, but he doesn't cite any sources. That's the other problem, is like, no, tell me where you got that information.
massive iron
But they won't, because if they do, they'll be proven wrong. It's why I do, in fact, include citations in all of my videos, even if a failed journalist by the name of Tyler would like to disagree with me on that.
bar of
And by the way, I actually did look into his background. The guy was basically a small-town crime reporter and nothing else. Him calling himself a journalist is like me calling myself him calling himself a journalist is like me comparing myself to my professors, which I don't do.
wall to prevent exploration. In excavations in 1969 and 1970, several artifacts were removed from this cave. Much of the Grand Canyon has been turned into national parks and has forbidden zones that are off limits to the public. This stems from an incident in 1909 that the government tried to keep from public disclosure. A newspaper not known for printing hyperbole or fiction, the Phoenix Gazette, in 1909 reported that two Smithsonian archaeologists discovered an underground facility in the Grand Canyon that had vast galleries of
You know what a whole bunch of newspapers also reported? That giants were found in the desert in Southern California. Not the Mojave. Whatever the desert in Southern California is, that one. They reported that giants had been found. Thing is, in fact, this almost seems like this. Wait. This is not particularly different, in fact, from the one I read from California. This is funny. But it's just totally different people. Where'd they say it was? Also, remarkable finds indicate ancient people migrated from Orient. Yeah, that turned out to be the truth. We figured that out. Connection with the story, it is notable that among the Hopis, the tradition is told their ancestors once lived in an underworld in the Grand Canyon. Discussion arose between the good and the bad. I'd have to look into that. Hieroglyphics on all the walls. Okay, the crypt. So what's interesting is that this sounds a lot like a story that we covered in the Bigfoot video. And I wonder if it's the same story, just 30 years later, 40 years later. Because, I mean, it's really similar. When I was journeying down the Colorado River in a boat alone looking for mineral, some 42 miles up the river from something canyon, I saw the east wall, stains in the sedimentary formation about 2,000 feet above the riverbed. There was no trail to this point, but I finally reached it with great difficulty. I find it hard to believe that he would have climbed up to a random cave. Mouth of the cave, stories, there are steps leading from this entrance. Okay, so nobody ever corroborated it? It appears that this is just a guy saying he found something. News of the progress of the exploration of what is now scientists is not only the best archaeological discovery. All right, he said this is what? Phoenix Gazette, April 5th, 1909. What were some of the words used there? Explorations in Grand Canyon. I mean, the story, it's definitely not the same. It's definitely not the same cave, because the location's wrong, but explorations in Grand Canyon, and it is Monday, April 5th, 1909. Where the hell did you get this, brother, if not newspapers.com? What? All right. There we go. Ah. This is 2008. That's March. Oldest. There's a Republic in September, August, June, May, March. Yeah, I mean, I'm not finding anything in here. I'm wondering where he got this. Because newspapers.com typically has just about everything that's not hidden in a specific archive somewhere. Crypts. Shrine. Under the direction of a Professor S.A. Jordan, the Smithsonian Institute is now presenting the most thorough something which will be continued until the last link in the chain is found, nearly a mile underground, about 1,400 below the surface. Kincaid's report. Okay. So, it's saying this was Smithsonian. Yeah, I'm not going to support you. I already do it with my tax dollars, guys. Come on. Like, seriously? No, I'm not subscribing. I pay for this with my tax dollars. What am I paying taxes for? A long ago, okay, here we go. The Smithsonian discovered Egyptian ruins in the Grand Canyon. A long ago newspaper sparked tales of the Smithsonian discovery in the Grand Canyon. Fact, it didn't. It was the Arizona Gazette, not the Phoenix Gazette. Ran the following headline: Explorations of the Grand Canyon, mysteries of an immense rich cavern being brought to light. Jordan's enthused. What do they say? Story also asserts the Smithsonian archaeologist named S.A. Jordan returned with Kincaid to investigate the site. However, the Arizona Gazette appears to have been the only newspaper ever to have published the story. Which, I'm going to be honest, if I go back to newspapers... Here, let me go grab the history really quick. That's Arizona Republic. But it didn't report that at all. So here we go. I'm going to say it was, what, April... What year do you have here? April 5th, 1909. You have Arizona Republic. It's the only paper. All right, let's do 1909 in general, maybe? Arizona Republic still is the only thing we get. So, I mean, what about April? Sort, oldest, April 1st, April 1st, April 1st, April 1st, April 2nd, April 3rd, April 3rd, April 5th, 4th, come on, April 5th. There we go. This is the Arizona Republican, not the Phoenix, not the Arizona Gazette, so, I mean, we'll see, but based on the image he showed us, should be at the top of one of these pages if it is in the same paper. Nope. Okay, so nothing. Was there even an Arizona Gazette? Okay, there's the Arizona Gazette. Let's go to the Library of Congress. Let's try this. Arizona Gazette, April 5, 1909. There we go. Okay. All right. Ah. Come on, man. Ads? Seriously? Okay, first, I would impress the cavern is nearly inaccessible. The entrance is 1,486 feet down the sheer canyon wall. It is located on government land, which no visitors would be allowed to there under penalty of trespasses. Scientists wish to work unmolested without fear of archaeological discoveries being disturbed by curio or relic hunters. Okay, so this guy who reported this basically said, hey, there's a whole bunch of Smithsonian scientists working up there. Don't you go. The government will stop you, but definitely believe what I said. Shocking! He says there were mummies. I mean, there's just no record of this anywhere else. Also, this would not be, like, impossible for the Pueblo people. Hopi creation story. Let's go ahead and check that out. Alright, it does have they used to live beneath the earth. That's good. At least there's that. Bro, you gotta stop giving me all these motherfucking ads, man. Ridiculous. This cave is not a natural formation, which means someone must have built it. Cortana. No historical records probably just means no written history. Yeah, it generally does. Yeah, nothing I'm finding is supporting anything he's saying. Like, there would be more reports of this than just in one magazine that almost nobody can find.
Of rock, immense chambers, was vast in expanse and contained Egyptian-like art.
Doesn't matter if nobody can corroborate that it existed, brother.
Lost Cities of North America, published in 1993, ignited a firestorm of public interest. Instantly, the Smithsonian Institution officially published that the article was not true because a Professor Jordan and an archaeologist named Kincaid had not been in the employment of the institution. They asserted they searched for files and they found nothing. The Smithsonian Institution went on record publicly saying that these two men had never worked for the institution. This amazing article right here demonstrates the value of the Archaix approach.
All right. Jordan has been said never existed, but oddly he did. Well, saying that he never existed and saying he did not work for the Smithsonian are two different things. These are important. Smithsonian's enigmatic professor. Okay. Here is the article from Newswire. David Childress has... Okay, so just really quick. That name may sound familiar. You recognize why that name sounds familiar? Why don't I use Opera? Because it's Chinese. If the question, the more apt question is, why do I continue to use Google Chrome? And the answer is, it's much faster than Brave. And so I use Google Chrome for research because it's way faster than Brave. And also it has better search results than Brave. I use Brave for certain things. But when it comes to researching the stuff I research, I use Google Chrome because it's the better browser for historians. Listen, if you're looking into politics, yeah, go and use Brave. It's going to give you the best results. If you're looking for history, definitely use Chrome. But I mean, guys, Childress is... I mean... He didn't graduate. He dropped out as a sophomore. However, Professor David Starr Jordan was affiliated with... Yeah, so here's the thing, is like, all this says is that the guy existed, but nobody made the claim that he didn't exist. They just made the claim, if we go back to the Smithsonian, that he didn't do this.
Researcher all the way to 1910s, and he found that both Professor Jordan and archaeologist Kincaid had definitely been employed with the Smithsonian and...
Okay, but what the Smithsonian said was not they didn't exist. The Smithsonian said they didn't do that.
For over 20 years, they had published multiple papers and had been involved in multiple excavations. Another researcher found this photo right here in the Smithsonian.
Doesn't matter. The Smithsonian didn't say he didn't exist. This is like the people who are like, oh, the Smithsonian hid the giants, when in the Smithsonian's 12th annual report to the Bureau of Ethnology, they very deliberately and explicitly discuss the giants they found. It's publicly available from the Smithsonian. If the Smithsonian is trying to hide the giants, they're doing a piss poor job of it.
It was explored and found to be 18 stories down.
What are we talking about now? Oh, this is
Was
Darren
indeed
Kuyu.
exactly what they said, an underground city. In the first year of excavations building a mega metropolis under Cheyenne
Also,
Mountain,
wait, hang on.
exposed, and this means that these men found in the Grand Canyon...
No, what it means, Archaix, is that the claim that Kincaid and Jordan investigated an Egyptian-like cave system is not well supported. The Smithsonian never said these men didn't exist. The Smithsonian never said that they didn't work for the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian only said they didn't do what you said they did. That's it. So by saying, oh, well, they did work for the Smithsonian, all you've proven is that a claim nobody made wasn't false. Congrats. Good luck. I mean, the fact that I've got people in my comments section telling me that I can't disprove this guy when I've done so at literally every turn with minimal effort is really funny. This isn't even stuff that you got to go to history programs for. You could not go to college, and as long as you know how to use newspapers.com and the internet, you can disprove every goddamn thing this motherfucker says.
What they claim they found in the Grand Canyon was indeed exactly what they said, an underground city.
No.
In
No.
the first year of excavations building a mega metropolis under Cheyenne
I
Mountain
will not
in the
have any
United...
of that. Ella, your opinions do not faze me. Continue to have whatever opinions you wish. I will not listen to them.
States. On the other side of the year of excavation, said an underground city.
I do love the disconnect here. Like, hey, this thing I made up proves this other thing I made up is true. And I can't even give him credit. It's not like he made it up. He's taking all this from other people.
The first
Like, how lame do you have to be to plagiarize your bullshit?
year of excavations building a mega metropolis under Cheyenne Mountain in the United States. On the other side of the world, in Cappadocia, in Turkey, a man accidentally found the underground city of Debunking.
Yep.
It was explored and found to be 18 stories down.
Mm-hmm.
And it could have housed 20,000 people with all their livestock.
Yep.
Cisterns, wells,
Well, the livestock thing.
advanced air shafts, tunnels that led in all different directions to other underground facilities. 58 more have already been found under Turkey. All
This whole the tunnels lead to other ones thing is a little bit dubious, by the way. I don't think that's actually been proven yet.
connected to Debunking. So,
From what I understand, they found tunnels leading away. They have not found tunnels that connect. But I might be wrong about that. I'll check. Debunking Underground City. Do Debunking tunnels connect to anywhere else? Yeah, This is what they do, is they combine truth with total conjecture.
This is no light statement that 59 ancient underground cities have been found in this one area of the world, and
Yes, but they're not connected to one another physically. Like, yes, the people building them probably built multiple, but they weren't connected.
that there are no mentions of these places in the historical record.
There's not no mention of these places in the historical record. It's right there. There's just no mention of them in the documentary record. Because they're old. And also, I'm pretty sure there's not no mention of them.
A population a long time ago had found a need to hide from something expected on the surface.
It's very important to understand that a long time ago, in this case, is around 1200 BC.
Even if the others didn't hold as many as Derinkuyu, the combined population underground in these 59 cities would still have been at least 1 million people.
There's also the problem that Derinkuyu, as it was constructed around 1200 BC, could not have held 20,000 people. The version of it that could hold 20,000 people was constructed over a period of over a millennium, with the Byzantines doing most of the work.
The immense amount of labor required
Oh, thank you, Distorted.
to have excavated these cities would have required an infrastructure more sophisticated than we give the ancients credit for, and the knowledge
We do not give the ancients more credit for infrastructure. There were so many Byzantine cities that had populations higher than that.
of cycles and epicycles, which infers that they were already aware of a rich and measurable historical period known to themselves of these destructions.
Now, if he brings up Zoroastrianism, I will consider his point, but if he doesn't bring up Zoroastrianism, I'm going to completely ignore him.
Said another way, these were built in another age for which we have no memory, but built by a people who
Except they have Phrygian and Hittite pottery in them, and we know that those are the people that built them, because there's no older pottery.
had a very long memory, and
And it's important to recognize that pottery was extremely old by the time this was constructed.
they knew what was coming. Our takeaway here, civilizations don't suddenly start draining their economies in the secret construction of underground infrastructures for no reason.
Yeah, nobody did that. The rock there is incredibly soft and easy to mine out, and it was constructed over a period of about 2,000 years.
There is an object hidden in the sky. It has been here many times. In ancient times, it was known as the Phoenix.
Is this gonna be fucking Nibiru again? I swear to God.
It is approaching perihelion. It is located at 23.5 degrees north of the ecliptic and is presently in descending mode. On May 15th, 2040, it will return. On May 16th, our world will be a very different place.
This is their heavy hitter? A guy who is able to debunk in 3 seconds at a time while drinking? I've had like a third of a bottle of whiskey during this stream, and I was able to do this without trouble. I'm not even like I don't have a PhD. I have a bachelor's. Do you know how bad you have to be at your job to get debunked by a guy with a bachelor's? This easily? Like, this is what... And this is why I don't engage with this shit anymore. Is because people bring me this stuff and they're like, oh, you gotta check this out, man. This will change your paradigm. And I'm like, I watch it and I'm like, okay, well, just off the bat, I know 90% of what this guy is saying is bullshit, and I can prove the remaining 10% is bullshit very easily. It's where the sea people went. Oh boy. All right, well... I hope we all had a good time. It's good to see 92 of you here still. You know, I gotta start doing these more often. I've just been so swamped with work, with the research side for the Lore Lodge. I very much look forward to the time when 2 Lore Lodge videos makes us the same amount of money as 4 Lore Lodge videos, because it means I can do more of this stuff and have more fun. For the time being, though, I gotta produce an hour-long documentary every week. So... We'll see how long it takes. But you know what? Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow night I will have another stream. It will be a gaming stream, either Content Warning or Helldivers. Haven't decided quite yet. Depends on who we get, honestly. And then we are launching a Red Dead Redemption server. There's going to be a Kickstarter for it because it's going to cost about $1,500 to fully flesh it out with all the scripts that we want. So, and then that will be kind of a test test run for another game that we want to work on, hopefully with Donkey Punch, the guys who made Bellwright. So yeah, that's where we're at right now, and hope to see you guys tomorrow. If not, then that's totally cool. For anybody who's relatively in the area, Saturday, Aiden and I will both be at Blobfest here in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. I will advise you that it's hard to get parking here, so be aware of that. But yeah, we will be here. We'll be out in front of Molly McGuire's bar. If we're not for some reason, just walk around and look for us. You'll find us. It's a 2-block Main Street. So Bridge Street is the name of the street. Main Street is not. It's confusing. Anyway, point is, that's where I'm going to be this weekend. If you're going to be around, come and hang out. Come check it out and come see us. And yeah, aside from that, I don't have much further. So I guess I will see a number of you tomorrow. Bye, guys. All right, just because I saw the question, if Kellen, if you're still here, it will be a sort of like, there will be RP aspects, there will be role-playing aspects, but we're starting it off to be more story-driven. So Aiden and I will be designing the story. Teal will be implementing the story. Chaotic Colors, Teal in Discord, Chaotic Colors on the gaming side of things. He's going to be implementing the story. We're going to be writing the story. And then we will kind of play through it in seasons. And the idea is that we can use these to eventually write a Western based off of it. There will be intrigue. There will be death. There will be property ownership. It's going to be a really cool thing that we're putting together. But like I said, it's going to cost about $1,500. I'm hoping that we can get there. But anyway, for, yeah, I would highly recommend it, Kellen. Kellen, let me buy you the game, damn it. Let me do something for you. I will happily buy you the game if you let me. You've been here since the beginning. It's been 3 years, Kellen. I want to support you. I want to help you, man. So yeah, that's what we're doing with that, and I'm hoping it'll be a lot of fun. But oh, also real quick, this is the script right now for Sebastian Rogers. That's what I'm working on. So all right, I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good rest of your night. See ya.